Hi, I'm Dave Sammett from DCS Technical on behalf of the Royal Australian Chemical Institute's mentoring program for young scientists. I'm here today with Wahib Saab of Evolve Scientific Recruitment, who, as a professional recruiter, Wahib has a special insight into the factors that recruiters are looking for as part of the recruitment process. Thank you very much for your time today, Wahib.
You're very welcome, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Great. So, how does the role of the professional recruiter differ from HR or employers?
So a HR employment person would typically sit within an organisation. Their main task is to look after the recruitment, but also to do things like strategic planning, performance reviews. So it's a multifaceted type of approach and position. Within a recruitment agency area, a recruiting professional would only be looking at the recruiting side. So we would be looking to place the best person for the job within an organisation, and we do this with working with the HR person or the employer of an organisation. So we are different in a sense where we place the person and then they integrate into the organisation and off they go. And sometimes on contract we are involved with the contractor and stay in contact with them, but our main function is to actually have the matching, so it's almost like a dating service.
When you get a new client brief, where do you start?
Basically, once we get a client brief, and typically we do this face-to-face with an organisation, the first point of contact is our database. So within a recruitment agency, the database is the one tool that they mainly use to register candidates. So that could happen either through applications on Seek, people hearing about you, coming to events such as the RACI and getting to know us through that. But the recruiter will be then looking for staff through the database and trying to identify the set skills that the company is looking for with the candidates that we've got on the database. We also do advertise on places like Seek and on our website. Mainly, when we do advertise on Seek and on our website, it is for us to have some brand awareness, but also to give people that are passively looking a chance to actually apply for the position. People that actually register with us and come onto our database are people that are looking for jobs right now. Whereas if you're on Seek, you might be in a position, but you're not quite really ready to make the move. So we want to give those people the opportunity to at least have a look at the role and see whether they want to apply or not. We use also LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and all the social networking aspects, but essentially the database is where we really pick to start doing the searching.
How often do you advertise a position versus using a network or database?
So look, as I mentioned, the database is always the preferred choice when we look for a candidate for a role. We do advertise, but it is always as a secondary option. Where advertising possibly does help is for those longer term or permanent positions. So they might be senior level people that are not really looking at that stage, but it pops up on their email that there is a job alert that's come through from Seek or on our website. The database really does come in handy for our contract positions. So when you think about a contract position, we could get a call from an organisation who says we might need someone tomorrow. In that case, Seek really isn't the option because it takes too long for us to go through the motions on Seek. So registering with an agency is your best bet when it comes to contract and temporary roles.
So what's your record from the moment that somebody's given you a job to a client's given you a job brief to the moment that you've placed someone in that job?
Yep. If it's a contract role, my record is half an hour actually. So we've always got people in mind for certain tasks and certain roles. So when they match up, it can be actually really quick. So,
right. Is that what you describe as your star candidates?
Yeah, essentially they are. They're definitely the star candidates that stay in touch with us. We know really well, or have been used on a previous occasion, been in other contracts, and we've had good reviews from those employers.
Excellent. Are there any buzzwords or code in job applications that young professionals should be aware of?
Look, I wouldn't say that there's buzzwords. What I'd say is that they really do need to take note of the application and the advertisement. What we really, try to get people to understand is an ad and an application is the first impression that they're going to give to a recruiter. So what we tell people is to make sure that they read the ad very, very well. Read it twice if you have to, and make sure you tick off the selection criteria. So there really isn't a buzzword, so to speak, but just make sure that you meet the brief. So if they're asking for a cover letter, for instance, make sure you include a cover letter. If there's selection criteria they're asking to address, make sure you do that, because that's following simple instructions. And if you can't follow simple instructions, then you're likely not going to be great in the lab.
So what are the primary characteristics that you look for in early career professionals?
Well, look, as early career professionals, you're not going to really have much in terms of experience, so to speak. So what we do is we look for secondary skill sets, and things like initiative. What we do is we look for people that have possibly been involved in, events, groups such as the RACI. Have they been members within the RACI? Have they volunteered to do some work within those kind of groups? That really shows initiative and shows that they really do care about the industry. They want to actually pursue and get into the industry, and they're also building those networks and able to actually have discussions with different people within different positions within those organisations.
How long would you spend reading a typical job application?
You'd be surprised, actually. It's very, very quick. I'd say that the typical application would probably take a professional recruiter possibly up to 30 seconds to actually read. What you've got to understand is that recruiters get a multitude of applications per day. So they're taught and trained on how to skim through applications very, very quickly. So initially, it could take 30 seconds for the recruiter to look at and see whether they're going to be shortlisting you and continuing the search a little bit further, which means basically what they'll do is shortlist you and then go through your CV in a little bit more detail. But 30 seconds is pretty much what it takes. So first impressions is what counts.
Agreed. What can candidates do to distinguish themselves from the pack?
Look, I think it's really important for candidates to do the basics. You'd be surprised at how many applications are cookie cutter, don't do anything different. They use the same CV over and over again. It's really basic. It's actually doing some research. If you know which organisation you're actually applying to, look at those, the organisation. Look into the product lines that these guys either manufacture or are involved in, and maybe make a mention of those in your CV that complement some of the skills that you might have. So tailoring your CV to the actual job application would actually take you a long way and differentiate you from the rest of the generic pack.
What's your favourite interview question?
My favourite interview question would be it's to name an achievement that they're most proud of. I really like that question because it gets them to open up, and it's something that they could then talk about, something that they're passionate about and that they've had a strong interest in, and something that makes them proud. And I think people actually really like answering those kind of questions, but it also gives us a really good insight into where their mind is at, what really does interest them, and it gets them to open up a lot more. So.
Excellent. So what do you like best about your role?
Well, I get to mingle with a lot of people. It's something that I've always been, quite passionate about. I started off working in the laboratory. I found that to be quite lonely. I'm a people person, so I do like to mingle. So this job gives me best of both worlds. I get to use my scientific and technical knowledge from being in the lab, but I also get to look at the business side and the sales side and interact with a whole range of different people from different industries. And I am a bit of a nerd, so I do like to know technically what's still happening out there in the world, and I get to see it firsthand when I get to visit those clients. So.
So in your own career, what did you have to learn the hard way?
Right, it's something that I think most of us learn very early on in their career. It's that there's no shortcuts. I think when you graduate and you come out into the industry, you feel that you're going to be a manager, anytime soon, and that you've got the right to do that because you've put in all those hard yards studying. But I think you quickly learn that you do have to earn that, and there's a lot of work ahead before you can get to that management position. So that is one that I had to learn the hard way, and continue with that area.
What's the most important advice that you'd give to a job seeker at the beginning of their career?
What I would tell people is that, look, job seeking is a job. There is actually work that they have to do to put into getting their first role. Some people are lucky and they pick up their job very, very quickly. For others, like me, it took a number of applications to actually get there. These days, there's actually an abundance of groups such as the RACI that you can get involved with, and it gives you access to a whole range of people. And I think it's really important to network. I mean, building those networks and getting in front of these lab managers and managers who will end up employing people is the key. And I think spread yourself out, get your details to as many agencies as you possibly can, and keep building those networks until you find your job.
Excellent.
Well, I'm back again. Thank you very much for your time, Wahib. It's been very informative, and I love the fact that it ties in so much with the advice that we already say in the RACI's mentoring program.
Absolutely.
So this has been another presentation through the RACI. We have a podcast series, we have an online blog, and a range of other resources that we are all on the shots that you're seeing right now. Thank you very much, and we wish you all the best. Okay.
Fantastic.